Hi, I'm Susie Pinto. Welcome to One Nation Under God here on NewsNation, where we put a spotlight on faith in the news. Today, we're talking about the intersection of artificial intelligence and how it's impacting the faith space. I'm excited to welcome Max Bard, VP of Content at Pray.com. Max, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, Max, tell us just quickly about Pray.com and what you guys do in a nutshell.
So Pray.com's the number one app for daily prayer and faith-based audio content. When we started out, it's pretty much all audio. So think of an app that you can come to very similar to like a Spotify for church. You can listen to daily prayers, bedtime Bible stories to help you go to sleep to the word of the Lord. And then we also create these biblical dramas. So we have Bible in a Year, which is a great way to learn the Bible. We have The Chosen People, which is primarily around the Old Testament. And these are all dramatized stories, all inspired by the Bible. And so we have a little over 6,500 pieces of content that you can listen to, learn the Bible, focus your mind on God, and all that great stuff.
And a big part of what you're doing now that's getting a lot of attention is your AI content on the Bible, AI Bible Official, and people can find that on YouTube. This is 100% generated, AI generated content on the Bible. And I thought what we could do is just first watch a piece of this content just to give viewers an idea of what it's like. So this is how God created the universe. Let's just take a look.
Before time began, before light broke, before humanity, before anything came to be, there was the I Am. He emerged from no source, for nothing preceded him. Long before the cosmos wore its shimmering robe of stars, before lush valleys held the sorrow of mountains, there was the I Am, Elohim, the one without beginning. With a breath that shattered endless black, he called the heavens to rise. Galaxies blazed into life, and stars and planets were born. Hidden in one quiet galaxy spun the Earth, small against the vast sweep of space, yet treasured by the Maker. It was empty and shapeless, though not for long. Darkness hovered above the deep and churning seas. Then, in the silent mystery of this wild and waiting world, the voice of God rang out.
Let there be light.
It was like a melody, an anthem of power. From his voice, light burst into the silent void. Darkness retreated, and the wild waters were calmed.
Okay, well, I have to say, when I first saw this, it's pretty wild. And I think for many people of faith, both Christians and Jews, they're very familiar with this part of Genesis, but to see it brought to life in such a visually powerful way is quite an experience. Tell us about how AI Bible works and how you produce this content.
Yeah, thanks. So all of the content on the AI Bible, I won't say it's 100% AI, but it's mostly there, right? And so everywhere from the creation of the story, so the research, the data gathering, that all starts in programs like ChatGPT and Claude and Google Gemini to help us form that story, right? And outline it and get it all together. And then from there, we have a couple of writers, some of them are pastors, and they'll formulate the story and create that 10-minute video that you just watched right there. And then what we'll do is we'll start generating images and generating video to all of that audio. So a lot of that audio, we have voiceover actors, and those are the voices that you heard. And then even the music we actually compose. So we had a 100-piece orchestra that actually wrote that music. And then the AI part of it is the images and the videos, even some of the sound effects that you heard in it. That's all the AI process, right? And so what's really cool about AI now that you couldn't really do a year ago is we've been creating these stories since 2019. And what we did was we would take stock footage and put it on top of the story, and it kind of looked nice, but it wasn't custom, right? And so while you're watching this video, you can literally see all the parts of the story come to life in a way that we could never do before with the budgets that we have, right? And so that's kind of the process of what's happening right now, where we're able to create these really cool, awesome, visually striking, vivid imagery that helps these stories come to life and really gets you into the story. And I think has opened up a lot of people to not just the Bible, but also Christianity, who are like, wait, the Bible is way more epic than I had ever thought. And I think it's really taking off right now, and it's pretty exciting. And yeah, I think we're in a pretty awesome time with what AI can do currently.
Yeah. And so what did you guys created this, or you had, you decided to use AI, this technology, to bring the Bible to life, but what is it designed to do? What is, obviously, pray.com, your mission, according to your website, is to help people pray more and to create community. So what is the intent of this content? How should it be used by consumers?
So AI, the way that we're using AI, at least on the content team, is to help glorify God, right? And one way of doing that is just specifically through content. And also that helps create community. So you'll see within a lot of these videos in the comment section, people replying and replying to each other. And some people are even teaching the Bible to others within the comment section, which is really cool to see. And in terms of AI within pray.com as well, so we have call it a back-end software that a lot of pastors and ministries use, called Pray Studio, which has a lot of AI features within it that helps these pastors and ministries really evangelize the Bible all over the world. So like one small example is we have a thing called Pray AI translations. So, pastors, they have sermons every single week, and they're all in English. But if they want to reach people in Latin America, that's a little bit hard, right? And so using our AI translations, it'll take their whole sermon and translate it into Spanish and into Portuguese. And now all of a sudden, Latin America can start listening to them in their voice. So it'll take their voice and they'll all of a sudden start speaking in Spanish and Portuguese through this AI technology. So that's one way where you can start reaching a lot more people all over the world with your message and with God's message that wasn't possible a year or two ago.
Wow, that's fascinating. And so what has been the feedback from consumers? And you mentioned also people, there's a lot of engagement in the comments, but in general, what are people telling you? How are they using the content, and how are they liking it?
I think they think it's awesome, at least so far. And because a lot of the things that you see on the channel, on the AI Bible channel, are things that have never been portrayed in this type of light before. So when we first started creating content, one of my favorite genres is, I guess you can call it like fantasy, psychological thrillers. I liked comic book films. So Marvel, DC, and that type of stuff. And I was like, what if we can make the Marvel universe of faith? And so when you watch these videos, we try to take that approach, which is, how do we make these stories cinematic, epic, entertaining, and engaging? And that's really the goal of all these, because once you do that, then people start to they engage with all this. They start commenting, they share it with their friends, they share it with their family, and then this really helps spread the gospel. And so that's really the goal of this channel, is using AI to help bring these stories to life in the way that you have never seen before, to where you're like, wait, I had not thought of Satan looking like this. Like, this is crazy. Have you seen this video? And then you start sharing it with your friends, or this video of creation where you literally see the earth being created by God in a way that it would take, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of dollars to do in CGI, right? And we're able to just get it out there for free on YouTube. And I think it's just a great way to really learn the Bible in this new age that we're in.
So you mentioned the depiction of Satan. Let's take a look at one of the videos that depicts the devil, which I found really interesting because, I don't think there are that many depictions of Satan or the devil in, modern culture or entertainment. And so I think I found it pretty impactful. So let's just take a look at one of the videos that you have produced that depicts the devil.
He was the morning star, radiant, powerful, until pride dulled his beauty and corrupted his place before the Almighty. Lucifer fell. Now he rages against God's image bearers. He knows his fate will already end in fire, but until then, he bears his fangs.
That's pretty scary. Obviously that's very different from the first video we saw, which was the creation of the world, which, whether or not you're a believer, that's, a hopeful, a brighter topic. How have you had reaction to your depiction of Satan in these videos, which are pretty powerful and really, talk about really fuel the imagination when it comes to that figure in the Bible?
Yeah. So in the Bible, I believe Satan's depicted in a bunch of different types of ways, right? And that's what we try to do on the AI Bible channel as well. So what you were just watching is one of our videos on YouTube. We have actually a couple of other ones too, where you'll see Satan like when he was an angel in heaven, right? And he looks totally different from there than the one that we just watched right here, where he's a tempter, kind of a deceiver, right? And so we wanted to show him as weird looking evil person, right? And so that was the kind of route that we took there. Someone that's would look a little bit more on the scary side, right? And we like to use AI to help us bring these imaginations to life and really show a different look of what Satan may have looked like. And I think it's super interesting what our team is able to come up with. And this was one of those routes where people were like, "Oh, that's a little weird looking, or that's scary." I think my mom told me like, "This is a little too weird for me," and I was like, "Don't worry, like we're gonna come up with some other videos that you'll enjoy." And so it's very interesting. There's different feedback, but I think it's a lot of fun for people to see these characters from the Bible, brought to life in this different format, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned something earlier about AI glorifying God. What you do at pray.com, you try to glorify God. I think a lot of people might think it's strange to hear artificial intelligence in the same sentence as, glorifying God. I think there are a lot of critics that say that artificial intelligence is sort of trying to replace human intelligence, and in that way, almost, maybe step on, some believers may feel like it's even stepping on God's toes in that sense. How do you think AI glorifies God in your view?
So the way that we think of AI is think of it more as a tool. Okay. Now, does that mean there's going to be misinformation and I don't know, deep fakes, and is it going to replace jobs? Probably, just like in the same way that the printing press did or the car did. And so all these new technologies, they do in a sense, but they also help us in a lot of ways too. So we think of it as a way of a tool that enhances human creativity, which is what's happening right now in the content space, right? And also in the way that I mentioned the translations that we do. It helps you reach a lot more people that you never could before, right? And say in how AI can also help with researching. So say you've never read the Bible before and you're just getting into it and you're reading and you don't really have someone else to talk to about, the passages that you're reading or the verses that you're reading. You can literally ask those questions to these AI chatbots that can help you learn the Bible quicker and faster. So, in a way, AI is very helpful to a lot of people, right? And I'm not saying like there's going to be, those cases where there's, misinformation, and there's always going to be bad actors in tools, but it's all about how are you going to use AI to help glorify God? And for us, it's helped us with biblical accuracy, research, and data collection, and like these videos that you've seen, creating these really cool custom cinematic looking epics that are reaching a lot more people than just a audio story would, right?
What about people of faith who may be concerned about AI distorting the Bible or Christian principles?
Well, so there may be some cases of that. I guess depending on which LLM or AI that you're using. So, you would want to do some, I mean, we all know the story of Google when they came out with the first version of Gemini, and it was creating these like totally different visuals of like our first presidents, right? So they're still working on the way that AI is supposed to work and be used. And there's going to be a lot of parts, we're just at the beginning stages where, you're going to have these like hallucinations, they call it, where the AI will say something that's totally inaccurate, right? So you still have to human check it. You still have to do your own research to make sure all the stuff that is being prompted back to you is correct. So I wouldn't trust it entirely at this point in time, but it is brand new. And I would say we're at the very beginning of all this, and it's going to be super helpful in the coming years. And I would encourage everyone to use it in a sense, even if it's just asking it basic questions around the Bible, and see what it brings back to you. Because just knowing the knowledge of how to speak to an AI, which is basically like text prompting, right, will be super useful for you, and not just your job, but your personal life and all that type of stuff later on.
So, and what is the future of this kind of content? What are you guys? What's on the horizon in terms of other products that are going to come out?
Yeah, so we're creating a few things right now. Some of them are actual shows. So right now on the channel, you see they're shorts, right? They're little 10-minute, 8-minute, 12-minute, one-time episodes, right? We're creating a show right now that will come out every week. So it'll be very similar to what you would see on a streamer or on TV, that follows characters within the Bible. So, it would start off at Genesis and then go all the way out to Revelation. So we're literally in the process of writing that right now. And that will probably be around a 20 to 22-minute episode weekly series that we want to release in the next couple of months. So that's going to be super exciting. That'll be our first like full length series that we release, and that will also be on the pray.com app as well. And internally, we're also working on a bunch of AI tools to help pastors and ministries help get their messages out as well. So that's exciting. And one of those is when you're using our app and you're listening to, remember how I mentioned we have a little over 6,500 pieces of content. When you're listening to all of that, we can tell, what do you like the most, what types of content and genre, and then we can recommend content like that we think you would enjoy and keep listening to. Or if you like learning this certain part of the Bible. What else would you like to learn as well? And so that's going to be very helpful for the algorithm. And a lot of that is AI to make sure we get you the content that you're actually looking for, right?
And Max, what is, can you share maybe your favorite piece of content in this AI content that you guys have put out?
Yeah, I'll say we came out with a short video on the Nephilim, which is not talked about a lot in the Bible, but has there's a lot of fascination around these giants in the Bible, right? And so we came out with this video called, I think it's called, we made a short film about the Nephilim on YouTube, so we can play
Okay,
that.
let's take a quick look.
We saw them fall, terrifying, radiant. They came for the daughters of Eve. We were their forbidden fruit. Sons were born to us, monsters of divinity and flesh. The Nephilim.
Wow, I didn't. Where are these giants in the Bible? I guess I need to get study the Bible more, because where do they come in?
Yeah, they were before Noah. So this story in particular is Enoch and his son Methuselah when they go and visit the Nephilim and try to make a deal with them for some tools and stuff for their harvest. But it's a really cool depiction of them and look of the Nephilim. There's a ton of Ancient Aliens has created a few episodes on what these guys look like and all this stuff, and they they've been all over the History Channel, and so we want to kind of do our own version of that. And I think this really outlines the whole story of them. It's a lot longer than what they are in the Bible, so there's a lot of creative liberties in this video. But I think it's really exciting for people to see this and kind of imagine like what happened during this time, and what did they look like, where did they live, right? And so you can see in this video, like, we did this kind of cave look, and they're these massive giants that were spawned from angels and humans that created these babies called the Nephilim. And this was what we made them look like. And so, yeah, I think that was one of the more exciting videos that we came out with that had a huge reaction on YouTube.
Wow. Well, definitely tons of content to fuel the imagination. And congrats on all you've accomplished. And thanks so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm Susie Pinto. Welcome to One Nation Under God here on NewsNation, where we take a look at faith in the news. I'm happy to welcome Ryan Beck, who is co-founder and chief technology officer at Pray.com. Ryan, it's so nice to meet you.
Susie, thanks for having me on. Nice to meet you as well.
Today, we're talking about the intersection of artificial intelligence and the faith space and how it's impacting faith-based content. I read that you were a double major in philosophy and computer science, and that you learned specific skills to serve people at the intersection of technology and faith. Tell me what the intersection of technology and faith looks like now with artificial intelligence.
I think the big shift, I think, was in particular to the faith space. It awakened a lot of the industry. If we can think of the faith space as an industry, and the nonprofits, so the churches and other places of worship as these, places of business. It awakened them to the shift that was already happening within their communities, which was the shift to digital. And so you had the pandemic come in and really open their eyes to, hey, they need to meet their community members, not just in the pews, but also online. And they didn't know how. And with AI, you're starting to see a reset across a lot of industries where if you were behind in the digital space, it felt like you can never catch up. But with AI, it's kind of resetting the baseline and allowing people or industries or businesses that maybe were laggards to kind of leapfrog, right? It's like in the developing nations where they may have not had desktop computers, but then the mobile device came on. And so they just went straight to mobile instead of going through the desktop. So they leapfrogged a generation of technology. And so you're starting to see that in the faith space. You're getting these up and coming ministries or these existing ministries seeing the potential for them to connect to their audience and new audiences in innovative ways that they didn't even think was possible. And so it's opening up. I think AI is bringing about this resurgence in this kind of hope of how they can actually spread the gospel message to a new generation or a new audience that they didn't think they could reach. So I think it's pretty fascinating. That's kind of the big shift that I've seen at the intersection of faith and technology.
And, the Bible obviously is the collection of religious texts that's central to Judaism and Christianity. And a lot of people of those faiths, this is the central, the central focus of their faith life, of their prayer life. And it's a practice for them to imagine those scenes and to, place themselves in those scenes every day. What would you say to critics who say, in particular with your content that it has to do with, which is AI content on the Bible, that it's replacing a relationship that people are supposed to form with God in their own minds and within their own, souls, as opposed to having this third party visual creation that sort of may replace that human interaction with God?
Yeah, I think that we've always had some sort of mediation, right? Whether we're reading the Bible as a text, so the printing press gave us the Bible, right? And with the internet, we are able to put the Bible devotionals on the internet. And now what you're seeing is you're able to not just make it a text format purely in a book, you're able to bring it to life in new ways. So I would say that yes, we want to make sure that that relationship between the person and God stays intact. I see now that that relationship gets enhanced and enriched through technology because the visuals, the emotions that you can express now in something like the Bible, right, where it's just a text, but now you can bring visualizations, right? Not everyone loves just to sit there and read text. Some people like to see pictures, right? Some people like to watch videos. And so I think now you're going to see a lot more people have the potential to engage with their faith at a deeper level that maybe people who, reading wasn't something they love to do on a regular basis. But now they can watch our AI Bibles and see the book of Job come to life, or the book of Judges, right? It's not, or Leviticus. People aren't, they're not rushing to read Leviticus. But maybe if you brought it to life in a video in a new and dramatic way, it could, inspire people to explore those books. So I think we're just seeing, like I said, that kind of resurgence of people coming back to faith, because the Bible is fascinating. I mean, it's got some drama in there. It's got some stories, and bringing those to life through video um, is not something the Christian community or the religious community at large has had the funds to do in any meaningful way, right? Those big budgets aren't necessarily put towards religious films, but now you don't need big budgets to really bring something to life in a pretty powerful way.
Yeah, that's a fascinating point. It really opens up a lot of opportunity for people with, churches with smaller budgets, or just, like a lower budget project. So, but so pray.com, according to your website, your mission is to grow faith and to cultivate community. Tell me a little bit about your background and how you got involved, because, in this day and age, a company that has that as their mission is pretty unique and, not very common.
Yeah, it's not, and we're very, it's pretty unique what we get to do, the impact that we get to have on people's lives, and utilizing technology, right? A lot of if you go and download pray.com and use the app, you'll see there's a lot of mechanics that are very similar to like social media apps. And we built that. Instead of building unhealthy habits, we built healthy habits. So you use it. And so to see the reviews and the replies that people write in about how their lives are being transformed, it's not because of the app. It's just simply we're using these, best practices in forming, in these app mechanics to help people connect with their faith. And we know the power of prayer and the power of faith. So love that I get to do this, because before this, I worked in the ministry. So I went to Bible college to become a minister, worked in the ministry for a couple of years, decided not necessarily for me as far as becoming a minister, but I loved having the impact on local communities and the faith community at large. And so, after university, I have a background in computer science. I was able to work with some nonprofits that were doing pretty amazing things across the globe. And I got to help them go and digitize their efforts so they can run a more efficient organization. And then I connected with the CEO of pray.com, who's my co-founder. We also went to junior high and high school together. We connected with each other randomly in 2016, and we just started talking from there and figured out what we can do together and around pray.com and building the digital destination for faith.
And what would you say to critics who might say that, it's not ethical to profit off of faith or the Bible or, religious content in general?
Well, I think that when we take a step back and we look at what we do, we provide jobs to dozens and dozens of people that they need paychecks, right? And same with every nonprofit out there, they have to do that. So there's a service that we'll provide. We're very upfront with the fact that, hey, we're a for-profit company, and we want to make sure that what we deliver is of value to our customer, that they're willing to pay for it, right? And so we also give them mechanisms if they can't afford it. We may give them a free subscription if they reach out, or we may, we have an ad-free, an ad-supported version so they can continue listening and they don't have to pay anything. So we want to make sure that we are able to deliver a product that people find value in, that they're willing to purchase, right? And because they say, hey, this is worth my time. And, I think that's the amazing thing about what we do is that we're able to create a business that really helps people, not just in their faith practices, but in their spiritual and mental health, and sees real outcomes. So pray.com, we've done, we've paid for clinical trials and tests to show the power of prayer and how it can transform you, not just spiritually, but mentally, and help you with anxiety and depression and sleep. And so with the results of those studies, where we did and we showed that, hey, if people use pray.com, if people pray more and they connect with God, they'll have these benefits. And so, I'm incredibly grateful that we're actually able to create a business that delivers real value that people really like, that forms healthy habits and helps them be better people, stronger mentally and spiritually. So, that you can't ask for more out of a job or a business. So we're super excited what we do.
And there seems to have been, seems to be sort of a revival among a lot of faith groups and people who are looking for faith and finding faith in recent years post COVID. Do you find that a lot of people are coming to pray.com who never had a faith, or have you had a lot of engagement with your customers in terms of people who are reaching out and trying to seek faith and cultivate faith?
So 20, 30 years ago, people would go to places of worship, whether it's a church or parish or temple, mosque, wherever, in search of hope and purpose, in search of meaning. And they would walk through the front doors. How we engage with communities and these things has shifted, and a lot of people do that digitally. A lot of times going to these places physically requires quite the commitment. Not a lot of people would do so. A lot of people would be left behind. But with pray.com, what we did was we made the front door the internet, so people can come, whether they're strong in their faith, or they're just curious, or they're just looking for hope and help and strength to get through the day. We run the gamut. Everyone from political backgrounds, ethnicities, spiritual backgrounds, they come to pray to develop a stronger mind, a stronger spirit, and to find that purpose, meaning, and hope. So it's all over the place, and that's how we love it. We just want to. We believe we created an incredible product that is unlike anything out there, that people find huge benefit in, and it's transforming people's lives every single day. And we see the reviews. You can go read them. They're great.
And does the Bible provide any insight into what Jesus might say about artificial intelligence, for example, or technology?
I don't, obviously, I don't think that, well, I don't know if it's obvious. I don't think there's anything specific. But the way I look at artificial intelligence is the capabilities and tool sets that it gives us, whether we're Christian or not. As Christians, I think we have a new tool set that's so powerful that can really help people. I mean, the number one use case right now of ChatGPT or any of these LLMs out there is counseling, is people trying to just get through the day, whether it's marriage, whether it's relationship, finances, whatever. Do you know where people used to go 30, 40 years ago? They used to go to churches, places of worship, to get that counseling. And so I think this is a huge opportunity, because what you're seeing is the spiritual need and desires of people has not changed. The way they fulfill those needs has, and it's gone digital. And the faith space has not been at the forefront of technology. But this is the opportunity for us from a faith perspective to get in front of these people and help guide them with these amazing principles that have stood the test of time, that help people in their happiness, in their families, in their finances. I think it's an incredible time. AI, it obviously doesn't talk about it specifically, but the tools and capabilities and how we're to use these tools and capabilities to impact people for the good, and to share that hope that so many of us across the globe have experienced in our personal lives. This is an exciting time and a tool set that we've never seen that can do incredible good. But if we don't use it, then other people will use it to do their ends, and hopefully they're good. Those ends are good. Some of them won't be.
And if I could ask you, how do you personally use your content in your own personal spiritual daily routine, for example?
Yeah, so we have something called the daily prayer or the morning prayer. We have the morning, noon, and evening. And the first app I open is pray.com. And so I get that morning prayer, and it's the Bible in a Year with Jack Graham. That's what you'll get. And it's just a short devotional, 5 to 10 minutes, where you'll get a little prayer, a little devotional at the beginning, and then a reading of the Bible. So I find that's the easiest thing to jumpstart your day. And you got beautiful imagery with a nice little verse, so you can just be like, oh yeah, to help you kickstart your day. So that's how I use it. That's like the primary use case. But then if you just need to sleep and you're just like struggling, you can put on a sleep song and just go right to bed. Little background noise. So I find those are the two things that I find very useful in our application that I think is incredible. We did just release something called Pray AI, which is this LLM, this artificial intelligence that people can chat with. And it takes on this kind of faith guide to help you if you have questions about how to handle like a relationship issue or a myriad of things that you may have turned to the Bible to seek. We give that, but it's interactive. So it's pulling that knowledge from Scripture and the history of scriptural doctrine to help guide you in your life decisions and your life struggles, or just for fun if you want to just ask it questions. So I'm finding that to be very helpful when you're like, hey, how should I, I have a friend, I want to talk to him about this. How should I go about it? What does the Bible say? Or we can even ask it like, hey, what does the Bible say about AI? See what it does. So,
okay.
But yeah, that's a new thing
I'm gonna
that
go do that
we've
right
been
now.
testing out. Yeah, it just came out this month. So, we're
Wow.
playing around with that.
Wow. Fascinating times we're living in, right?
Yeah.
Ryan, thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Susie. It was nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.